how to play the Masters.
The greatest thing about the Masters for me is inside the ropes. It's just you and your caddy allowed inside the rope. When you watch on TV, hopefully you can even sense then that the importance of every single shot. You've got to have 100% of looking down that fairway and thinking, yeah, I can do that. I know what I'm going to do. I honestly look at one thing, and that's distance control. So what you can do to make a big mistake in practice is, if you're just aiming at the hole and hitting it and not really paying attention, then you don't really see the true break. You've got to be completely within yourself. You don't need $1 million practice ground. You just need a bit of surface. And again, to scare yourself, not every lie is perfect. Back in my day, we had the range and there was a little green down the left-hand side. And I used to stand there hitting, and I just keep hitting to that little green because I thought, if I can hit that green, I can hit anything.
All right, guys, we're back with another Performance Golf podcast. Eric and Donnie here with Performance Golf. We've got Sir Nick joining us live from Arizona. We are in Scottsdale, Sir Nick.
I am. I'm in Scottsdale, meant to be enjoying beautiful sunshine, but it's cold and rainy and hailstones and a giant black cloud out there. So not very golfing weather here.
Yeah, well, hopefully it'll get nicer there. And we know as this episode's coming out, we thought we'd talk a little Masters. We've got another Masters tournament coming up here. Sir Nick, you obviously very familiar with Augusta, 3-time champion. We talked a little bit in previous episodes about the 89 and 90s victory. I think we can talk a little bit about 1996, which we'll probably do a whole nother episode on. But, we're coming up on the 35th anniversary since your first Masters victory.
Jeepers.
35 years.
Yeah, I know. Times have changed, young chaps.
Our entire lifetimes.
Yeah, literally.
Our lifetimes.
Gosh.
This is a little different, though. This isn't your typical Masters episode, right? This is going to be how to play the Masters, which I think is super interesting. I am very interested to know what that looks like from a 3-time Masters champion, and I'm sure other people will be very interested as well to walk us through what it looks like to play in a Masters, leading up to the Masters, preparation, showing up, driving down Magnolia Lane.
All that, yeah. It's an incredibly special place, isn't it? Unbelievable. And it's pristine, and it's just short of perfection. I mean, there's no tournament, no layout, no facilities, no infrastructure or anything like it. The pristineness is something that will hit you. Because, I tour, obviously, with television, we go around the back roads and what have you to get. Obviously, there's now a media center the other side of the road, which is colossal. You can't believe it. So, but what I'm so impressed with is that, in regular tournaments, when you look outside the ropes or outside the fencing, there is a ton of crap, technical crap. To make a tournament work, isn't it? And so there's wires and rolls of this, and not at Augusta National. No, there's nothing out of place. You will not find a piece of litter, a wire, anything outside where no public goes. Amazing. It's amazing. So, so I love that about it. And then obviously, so the greatest thing about the Masters for me is inside the ropes. It's just you and your caddy allowed inside the ropes. That's it. There's no static media. There's no still photographers. They have stations, they have platforms and that sort of thing. So they're never inside the ropes. TV is obviously, it's only CBS produces it. So that's the only camera crew. They have mobile cameras inside the ropes. They know what they're doing, where they stand, go, all that sort of thing. So it's pristine in that kind of sense. So it's wonderful as a player. It's a lovely cocoon that you're inside the ropes and it's just you and your caddy, and disturbances are the best at the minimal. So love that. And then you see the golf, obviously, then cutting to quickly how to play the golf. Because it's funny, we're just reviewing Tiger's win 5 years ago, and I was watching, and when you watch on TV, hopefully you can even sense then that the importance of every single shot, isn't it? There's something about it, there's whether it's just a 4-foot putt, the difficulty of that, to a chip shot or bunker shot, and then a approach shot, and then a longer approach shot, and you kind of really sense that. So I was trying to think of how to explain it, and you've got to do something on each shot really well, like 100%. Like, i.e., you walk on the first tee. So what's the most important thing? Well, that'd be apprehension. It's like, well, it's the start of the Masters. I can promise you, doesn't matter who you are, you look down that first and think, well, can you take what you were doing on the range to the very first tee to start your day? So, you've got to have 100% of looking down that fairway and thinking, yeah, I can do that. I know what I'm going to do. And I promise you, feel nervous, get started, get going. And then another good example would be, say, the 6th hole, par 3, you're on top of the hill. The pine tree's down by the green. You're literally nearly as close to, top of the treetops down the hill. So there's that much drop. And so I would say that is 100% assessment. You've got to be able to stand up there and, work out the wind, and you can't see it. Obviously, you've got blue skies. You cannot see a cloud moving. You're trying to remember, okay, when I played the 3rd, it was a bit of this. 4th was a bit of that. So where is it in this little corner? So there's an awful lot of assessment. So you get that side of it. Then you get mega fast putts with massive breaks. Well, that's judgment, isn't it? And you've got to turn all these different areas, all these different things up. And I was kind of struck. I was just watching a little bit of the footage, and you see how everybody has to go into a really quiet concentration mode because there's just so much going on, and you've got to take it all in to play every shot, to piece that round together, because it is a difficult golf course when they get those greens. If they get them a little bit firm, and obviously they're always quick, so you've always got to be in the right place. I hope I've kind of relayed it. The mental powers to get around that golf course are really, really important.
How many days early did you show up for the Masters and prepare?
Yeah, no, in the good old days, you played probably Greensboro the week before, or did we go? We went. Then maybe even Houston was another one was before, and New Orleans actually was. So generally, because they didn't allow you to come in like they do now, some players will be able to say, hey, I'd love to be able to come in the week before and play for a couple of days, and they do accommodate that. But back in my time, no, you bowled in Sunday night and you were out there Monday. I remember we were talking, so there's a lot to take in. Caddies aren't allowed to walk the golf course without their players, so they have to do all their they have to do all their double checking the yardages while you got the bag and this sort of thing. And I remember I was talking about back in the good old days of double checking meant we used a surveyor's pedometer wheel, which was called the wheel, and and you had to push that and double check sprinklers and all that sort of thing. So there was practice rounds were hard work. You might be on your feet doing all that for 5.5, 6 hours. And so I can promise you there's an element of stamina of doing a couple of heavy days, Monday and Tuesday. And then back in my day, I played the par 3 tournament like once or twice, and it was really slow. So I thought, to be on your feet for another 2.5 hours just to play a fun thing. I opted out of that to trying to finish Wednesday lunchtime and go home and put your feet up and just have a half a day of doing nothing to get yourself ready for Thursday.
Put your feet up at the Courtyard Marriott.
Yeah, exactly. Fine dining with that. They used to. I remember, you're right. They had cheddar cheese and broccoli soup. Oh my God,
the best.
That would go right through you. Oh yeah. So it was. The good old days.
And when you go back to put your feet up, Are you trying to shut off your mind? I mean, it's probably impossible to shut off your mind, but are you running through it? I know you're huge on visualization. So are you running through it in your head, shot by shot, hole by hole?
Probably not. I think you would like to think. I think the goal is that you've left there, and you've got to say to yourself, kind of, I'm prepared. I've done the best I can, and we wait for tomorrow to come out. You know what time you're going to be playing. Well, you already planned your morning in preparation, whether you've got time or not, or whatever it might be. And so, no, it really would be, with a bit of luck, if you can just really chill out, switch off, will be probably good for you. Yeah.
When do you find out about pin placements?
Oh, only on the day back in, you got your pin sheet that morning.
How's it work now? Is it the same now? Or you get
I think now there might be I wonder if they start getting them the night before now. I think on tour they do. I think you can get pins. But yeah, that's a good point. So you would have to plot. Hey, you might have 15 clubs in the bag because you're worried about, you might be thinking, is it going to be, can I get, well, the only choice would be, we were using back in the day, 1 and 2 iron. So you might have, whether that changed, whether you wanted to throw a 5 wood in for the par 5s or that sort of thing, because it was a lot shorter. They lengthened it a lot that time. They added almost 500 yards. So, holes like, we used to iron off 3 and an iron down 7 off the tee. What else? But, the 5s are all back. The first 5s are always played pretty long. It was 8 you couldn't reach. 2 you could. Obviously, you had to have a great drive at 2 to get down around the corner. That's a really different. I mean, that slope is like this. Unbelievable. Amazing what and obviously 15 you could reach, 13 and 15 you could. But that was dipping in the long stuff of the bag. There was no, till Tiger came along 10 years later and started whipping 9 irons onto par 5s. It wasn't like that when I was first there.
I think one of the things that's hard to appreciate, Sir Nick, for the viewers listening, I've watched the Masters for probably 20 years. And I actually went this past year. It was my first year there, watching, not playing, obviously. And it's very hard to appreciate until you're there how hilly it is and how undulated the greens are.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is like, for someone who's watching, it was shocking for me to have to walk those hills up and down. Because you can kind of see on TV like it's a little bit down, or like, 9 looks like it's a little bit uphill.
Yeah, it's deceiving.
It's steep. Now, are they, I would assume too, those greens are like the most undulated greens that you would play all year?
Well, no, yes and no. Because they get them so fast now, a lot of the pinnable areas they choose are about 2%. I put a spirit level on it over the years, but they're so darn quick. But that's just around the whole area. So obviously there's the way it feeds in others, and it gets to 3 and 4%. And that's what really creates the break. There's a couple of putts, but it's the thing is, the hardest thing there is if you're trying to hit a putt. So what you can do, make a big mistake in practice is, if you're just aiming at the hole and hitting it and not really paying attention, think, well, that was all right, and not really paying attention to how far past it's going from the hole, then you don't really see the true break. But if you then trying to hit it, absolutely dead weight, which is really difficult to do, then you literally would double the break what you see. It's unbelievable. There's a right at the gate, there's a putt on 1. They put the pin front left in that little section right next to the bunker. So you bail out in the middle of the green, and there's a ridge that comes through the green, and the front corner sits up. So you plonked it in the middle of the green for safety, right? And then so I always go to that one if I'm taking somebody there for the first time, I go, read that putt for me. Yeah, it's a 25-footer across there, bit of slope. Yeah, it's right to left, piece of cake to read. And they go 2 feet. So do you start with 2 feet? You think, yeah. Then you go, well, it's Augusta. And they go, yeah, all right, I'll hit it 4 feet. I said, fine, go on, hit one 4 feet. And if you hit it 4 feet at a holdable pace, wow, it goes up the ridge and gets a bit of slingshot and whoosh, 8 foot, 10 foot pass. I go, okay, now hit it dead weight. Now you have to look. Honest, you hit that putt 8 feet. You hit it 8 feet right, or go up, it sit on top of the ridge, and it comes trickling just down the ridge to get dead weight. I mean, that for openers is a real eye opener. I mean, that straight out the gate. And then you show somebody, the other one is, now just hit a 6 foot uphill putt, and you go, bash it in, hit the back of the hole in. Then you go the other side, now hit a 6 foot downhill. And you just go, boop, and the thing goes. And that's what you have to get used to. So that can scare you, because then there's no straight putts. You know, there is, if you play very well and you're smart, you try and leave, you know, a minimal amount of break, but obviously that's not going to happen all the time. And you'll start getting 6 footers, you know, with a foot of break, and it's got to be perfect. Because if you just touch it too little, it snap hooks right in front of you, doesn't even reach the hole. And then you think, well, I'll just hit it just a little bit further, doesn't take the break. So, and that's what you got to get used to. It's yes, and you can tell. Hopefully, I'm scaring you, because it does scare you.
Scaring me to death.
But that's before you start the chipping. Yeah, that's before you start chipping. Seriously, the chipping's got tougher over the years. I mean, they've slowly, a lot of greens they've either rolled, so it rolls off a little more on the edges, or other ones they've created little saucers, so the edge of the green goes up just the last yard like this. Get me? And there's the fringe, and then it goes up a little bit, and then it drops down just a tiny bit. So your ball can get caught in this like little gully. So you can miss the green by 10 feet, and you walk down there and go, because it just goes up a tiny bit, down a little bit into the green. And that's why you see guys, and then from you to the flag is fine. It's just a little bit of break. But you know, to get it on track, you can't just go for it at 2 foot, because it goes and it's gone. So you go, you have to come around and look. If it's coming at trickling pace, it's got to be coming at this angle. So you have a wander around and you realize, your little shot means you've got to chip it over there and land it, honestly, in a 2 foot circle. Really is. You got to play. And I used to I was obviously good at those, because I practiced little 1 yard, 2 yard, 3 yard little chip shots. I mean, seriously, it's a great fun exercise. You know, we all stand and go and chip and go across the green. That way, piece of cake. You say to your mates, come on, let's have a competition. Who can chip it 1 yard?
Gosh, that's so true.
Right? And who can carry it 2 yards? Yeah. It's unbelievably difficult, isn't it? We used to put a shaft down for fun. I used to do it, put a golf club down, 1 yard from you, and see how good you are, and getting that open, how quickly you could stop it the other side of the
Eric
shaft.
can't do that, I promise you. I've seen him chip.
It's counterintuitive. It seems like it'd be easy, but it's like way harder than hitting it long.
So much finesse.
Well, because everybody panics and gives it a bit of right hand. You hit one fat, one thin, and the ball's gone. Now you got. It's a fabulous game. You know, you don't need any space for that. You do that, you know, on the fringe of whatever at your golf club,
in your living room on the carpet.
Yeah,
on your carpet. It's a fun little game. You have such a laugh because you've got to. So you match. So yeah, that's what I used to practice. I used to practice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About if just 5 yards, something like that. Are you good enough? And I mean on the spot. I used to put a tee peg and put a ball on a tee peg and see if you can knock the ball off the tee peg, and you get really good at it then. That's another great little drill. So simple. You don't need $1 million practice ground. You just need a bit of surface. And again, to scare yourself, not every lie is perfect. You know, it's a little tight, isn't it? A little thin. And then you're like, oh, can I get... So seriously, try that. I'm going to do that. Now I've said it. You know, I haven't done that for years. Actually, I did it with a couple of little lads. I said, come on, everybody wants to hit it further. Let's see how good you are hitting it 1 yard. And it's good fun.
What would you do for speed control? Like, was there anything different, or how would you practice your speed control, especially for the greens at Augusta?
Yeah. Obviously, you go and find really nasty putts, and you, excuse me, and you've got to gain some confidence.
Mm.
You know, it's funny. With Ledbetter, we did one little drill. We stood up to a 12-footer, and I remember him saying, he said, "Okay, so how short can you hit it?" And you said, "Well, you're right." And you go, and it goes only halfway. He says, "Okay, so it is possible. So we need a hair more than that." And you can almost build it up that way. That's a good way of doing it, because it's so quick. Rather than, can I get it 12 feet? No, how short can I hit this? It's ridiculous. Hit that one went 4 feet. Right now, can I go 5 feet? Can I go? And that's what you have to feel. And I can promise you, back in the you'll almost be able to feel the cover on the golf ball. Lovely feet. And I'll give you another tip. The other, you've got to be able to be completely within yourself. You've got to get over the putt, and you've got to be so inside yourself that you're just looking out, and you go all quiet, and you have to go really quiet. Your breathing goes down. Your body is still. The only thing that's going to move is your shoulders. You know what you're going to do, and you get it nice and smooth. And you can even go with your breathing to keep it simple. But you've got to take yourself down a couple of notches before, because you can't be there go, you know, can't be up here. You've got to be down here.
Wow.
You know, yeah, the breathing's got to go, and you've got to be lovely and quiet, and then you can operate. Then you can just go dong, dong, and it's all smooth, and there can't be any, you know, no nerve ends. Everything's got to be cool and calm. And I used to just practice that it was a lovely spot on the bottom corner of the putting green, and it had a big break, and exactly that, you get really good at getting a 20-footer and just going, and this thing would come in with a 8-footer break, and it would go all right across the left edge, and then how do you hit it? It's literally 2 inches harder to get it into the middle, and then it's a little bit too far the other side. So it's just a great exercise, but I think that's the calming is the real skill. You've got to be able to take everything down a notch or two.
The other thing I wanted to ask, going back to the course and the conditions, what kind of grass is at Augusta? Is it like, from the north, we have the bent grass, it rolls totally different than down here in the south, where we have to worry about the grain? Are you having to look at the grain on those greens, or? Not
really, no. They changed to bent. They went to bent after they were Bermuda, weren't they? When I was very first there, they were experimenting on the putting, on this par 3 course. They put these bend. Oh my gosh! When they put the bend down, it was a 4 foot faster again. So now with them being, it's the grain doesn't affect it. It's more there is a pull. The whole property slopes down to the 12th green. And you've heard us talk about that, where you need to know that pull, because that does affect putts. Quite awkward when you've got a left or a right putt, and the low point in the golf course is down in the left corner. So will it go there? Will it hang on? You probably see that at 18. I've talked about that a lot at 18. There's a putt front right as they play it, from left as I was sitting on TV. And God, I used to sit and watch that, how the guys could hit that on it's a left to right putt, and they hit it on left edge and it doesn't move. There's a couple. There's another one on back of 13, and you don't realize, again, it looks like it's going towards the creek, but the low 12 is actually over there. You think it's there, but it's actually, and this putt goes or stays actually dead straight, because you've got a bit of this, bit of that. You think it's got to turn, you hit it right edge, and so there's a couple of local knowledge ones.
Sounds like people who are playing in the Masters their first time need to listen to this episode.
Yeah. You've got to take a lot in. It's where it does happen. It's not like people saying everything breaks towards the mountains and where the mountains, but there's something. There's definitely the pull down to.
I think, speaking of the people playing for the first time, obviously we know about the 3 times that you won. When was your first time there, and do you remember what that week was like?
Oh, God. Well, that was 79. I went there in 1979, and I was too much in. We were up at Greensboro, and we had a delay, and Gary Player was scaring us. He said, we used to have an international dinner on the Monday night. And they said, back in those days, it was a true invitation. None of this winners or top 50s, none of that. And Gary scared us. He said, "Oh, if you don't make it to the international dinner, you won't get an invite again." And you're like, "Oh my God, what do I do?" Because we got a whatever carryover to Monday. So I think we managed to play on the Monday morning at Greensboro, and then we bombed down. And you drove down in those days, got in there, kind of thing, and I was too much in awe of Augusta. Couldn't handle the speed of the greens. You had to take a local caddy at the time, and you may not get on there well there. It's the only shot I remember hitting on the second day at 14. I thinned a wedge, full on thin, went over the green, hit a guy smack in his forehead. Ball came back to 8 feet, and I didn't have the heart to hold the putt.
No way.
So I missed the cut. So that was the first one. It was all a bit of a blur.
Hit a guy in the head to 8 feet.
When you go for your first time, like in practice rounds, do you get hooked up with, like, how do you figure out what you're doing in your practice rounds or who you're playing with?
Yeah, I see. There's too much to take in. So I think I'd advise youngsters now going for the first time to go in early, a couple of days before, a week before, and just get acclimatized, or acclimated as you call it. Get acclimatized. Go and work out the locker room, how that works. You've got new practice facilities which are amazing. Got tons going on there, and then get on the golf course and get to see it and feel it, that sort of thing. But to take all of it in first time round was too much, so that's what I would always advise somebody. If you can get in there, do a couple of days recce on your own, then you're all right. Then hopefully you're down to just worrying about the golf course.
I was reading in Butch Harmon's book about the first time in the locker room, and about the tipping policy in the locker room, like what's expected. And he was talking, I think he was telling a Tiger story about like learning about like, hey, you're on top now.
You gotta throw down some
the
dough.
Tips go up. So
is that true?
I don't know if it's true. I'm wondering. Sir Nick probably knows. I'd hope.
Nobody's ever tipped me, so yeah. No, I just went with the flow. I can't remember back in that time what it was. I don't know. It's like $50-$60 or something. Now it's probably a couple of hundred minimum. I'm not sure now what. I have no idea what the
policy is.
Yeah. Interesting. As we're not going to put you on the spot and talk like predictions or anything, but as you look at players in today's game that are there, and obviously there's several players that'll be in this year's tournament who've had success previously. Is there anything in a player's game that you look at, you think, oh, okay, this guy's got a game suited for the Masters?
I honestly look at one thing, and that's distance control. I've watched guys on the range, and they're hitting 8 irons out there beautifully, whatever. And I watch where they land, and they're all over the show. They're here, there, and everywhere. It might be 15 yards with it, and it probably wasn't intentional. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So distance control is so important, so important. That back in my day, we had the range was right out front of the clubhouse. Left is Magnolia as you look back. And there was a little green down the left-hand side. There was about 5 jacked up greens on the range. That was about it. But there was one down the left, size of a dinner plate. And I used to stand there hitting whatever it might be on the day where they put the markers, which was great. It'd be a 9-iron, 8-iron, or maybe a 7-iron. And I just keep hitting to that little green because I thought, if I can hit that green, I can hit anything. that was my, I thought that was really important. And I mean, really hit it. I mean, seriously, it was a 15-foot circle max. And so you get really good at that. And you see where the ball finishes as well. I think that's really important. I think a lot of, again, this is my observations, especially for kids, the ranges are so beautiful and they're wide, aren't they? You've got targets, but they hit it out there and they don't pay attention to exactly where it lands. I mean, so by the time you say, hey, just watch that one, because that looked good, didn't it? They go, yeah, that's all right. And you go, well, hang on a minute. By the time it got hit by the wind or whatever, it's landed 8 yards right of the flag with a bit of a kick. I said, that's Mr. Green. And you're standing there thinking, oh, that looks lovely, 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 left, right, left, right. When you go on the golf course and you miss the greens by a fraction, interesting how it was so close, isn't it? So I think the fact I was really grinding and at a target all the time was good for me because, I was pushing myself, trying to make sure I hit that thing. And so when you get on the golf course, you've got to have that ability. I mean, really land. You're giving the yardage, 150 to the flag. I promise you, if it's over the ridge, that ridge is 6 feet away. So that's 180, that's 148 and a half, isn't it? So you can't land at 148. You really can't land at 148 it hits the ridge and comes backwards or whatever. So, and then the next ridge or behind. So if you really want to zone it in, that circle is really small. So if you're good, two things: hit the shot you plan to hit. So if you're trying to hit a little fade, you better hit a little fade and you better land it where you want to land it. You can't be trying to hit a fade and then to pull it. Even if you pull it by 2 yards, it will land in the wrong spot, wrong bounce, and you're in the wrong place. You're top side, off the side of a green, like I was describing, with some really difficult little. And that's when you can make the mess of the chip shot. You leave it in front of your nose, very easy. Knock it past, miss it. There's your double. And you were right. And your second shot was almost over the flag. And you walk up with double. So that's really easy to do. So that's, again, another thing to kind of avoid, because mentally that just does you in. I mean, you might do it. You will probably do that once. But if you can limit it to that, because that's a killer, isn't it? To hit a good shot in the wrong place and you make a mess of getting up and down. So that's what the great players do. The misses end up in the right places. A couple of good examples. If you go back and watch Jordan Spieth when he won, his misses were fantastic, always in the right place. So that means picking the right shot. So if you look at a shot and think, yeah, I'm going to go with a fade here, because if it goes wrong, I finish there and I'm fine. I've got more than half a chance to get up and down. And I made that observation and that's really important. There's no point in thinking from right's perfect miss and then pulling it and finishing back left. Because, as we said, you won't get up and down from some of the spots. So, and then the other factor, another major factor is, dealing with. So obviously, when you're playing nicely, it's you're very focused. You look at the flag and you can see the trouble. It's all a bit of a blur, but you're very focused and good intentions. And we were talking before, good visualization. And then you hit one or two bad shots at the wrong time, and then you suddenly look down and go, and then you see all the hazards or the no areas become highlights, become a lot more focused than the flag. There's plenty of greens when you go, like, stand on 10, look at 10, you go, well, you can't be short, can't be left, better not go long. No, don't really want that bunker. Yes. So if you've just missed a couple of greens and you're looking and you think, geez, well, how do I get it in the middle of the green when I've seen all of that? And it's far easier when you walk up and sure you see, you can't be, all those things, but you're so focused. Oh, there's the flag. Oh, no, that ridge is there. Better move. If you like it, you go for it, as best you can. If you don't like it, can you move your target 20 feet, 30 feet in a safe area? And are you good enough to then hit it into that area as well? That's the other key bit. If you're bailing out just a little bit, you've still got to be really good at hitting your so-called bailout shot, or giving yourself a little bit more room to work with, and then who knows what that then faces you on the green. So I think that's why we enjoy it. I mean, because it's such a exacting examination. It really is an examination. Every shot's an examination. I mean, I think now I was watching something, I thought I could see the guys really looking at every shot and grinding and thinking, wow. Yeah, and you have to be able to give that exact shot 100%. Like I said at the beginning, it's something. That shot needs something. I would need skill. It needs a great visual, doesn't it? Or it needs great intention, great assessment. Either needs great touch, whatever. It needs something. Tell me that one of those elements has got to be 100%. Got to be absolutely spot on to make the shot work. And I think that's quite a good way of assessing it now I think of it, because you prioritize what certain shots need. I.e. short on the green, it's touch, isn't it? You better be focused on 100% touch. Don't need strategy, but when you're on top of the hill hitting the iron shot, assessment is really important, because you got to play the odds game. If I don't quite hit this thing perfectly, where will it finish in a safe spot? And that is equally important there.
Wow. For all of those reasons is why I tell you and all my buddies that you guys should shoot 1,000,000 there, because of the precision required and all those things.
Yeah, if you go first time, you could. Yeah, it'll be. You're going to be shooting closer to 85, 90, even if you're a good golfer. If you've never seen it before, it's so easy to just go whack, head off. You get the heads off. You think, what happened there? I mean, it all has. We all know it all happens so quick. You take a quick 8.
That's the thing. It's never over at the Masters. You have to hang on.
You hit some pretty good shots
last
and end up. Yeah.
You have no. Yeah, there's a couple of spots where you think, I'm not going to finish the hole.
I can't imagine that pressure coming into those last 3. Just like,
oh yeah,
oh my gosh.
It's fascinating, Sir Nick. We're going to let you go here soon. It's fascinating to listen to you talk about this. We appreciate you taking the time to do so. I think it's really cool for us to get an insight of your perspectives of the golf course. I'm sure this year we're going to have a great tournament. We all look forward to watching it. And it's interesting you say the precision part. Obviously in future episodes we'll talk more about the tournaments that you won. I'm very curious to talk to you about 1996, which we didn't hit yet. But it was when I watch your highlights, gosh, that's so true. In that, like, you always were missing in the right spots, and the guys that would fade away down the stretch seemed to be missing in the wrong spots.
Very, yeah, and the right spot there. You study the greens, you get your yardage book, and you study, and they've all got little fall offs, some roll offs, some ridges. Try and give you some good examples of and you can be stuck in just the wrong spots. Trying to think. Well, as I've talked about right out the gate at 1, you cannot go left at 1, put it that way. You might hit down there, beautiful driving when we played the shorter course. Obviously, we were hitting 8 and 9 iron in, but they put the flag right down that left edge. But you cannot go left, because the thing is this high, it's chest high when you come off the side of that green, and we've 3 yards to work with. So, things like that. And then 2, you can end up getting too close. They put the flag right over behind the bunk, and you can get in an awkward, you got a little 30-yard, and you don't want that. And so where do you bail out? Where's a good place to bail out on 2? You can't go again, right? Maybe long works, this sort of thing. You got to do 3 is a fascinating hole, isn't it? I mean, that's changed. That was such a difficult second shot. That was the first time you felt the wind, because the wind it was weird. It didn't matter where it came from. You either had left to right, but it used to go in left to right, and there's a real square corner there. And the wind would go in and hit those trees and come back at you. So it's down left to right, and the blimmin' wind's in your face. So that was always a trick. I always thought I was good at that one. I used to take a little 9 iron. It didn't matter what wedge it was, grab a 9 iron, get the spin off it, and I knew that middle left of the green was a good miss. That was a good 4. My goodness, they put the pin on the front. It's this wide at the front. It's a 4 iron in your hand. And so that's another. You cannot go in that big bunker. You cannot get. And that thing again is, you can't see a thing. That thing's 8 foot deep. Can't get up and down from there. So where's your bailout there? Maybe long. That's 5 is, you can't go on the front. You've got one of the most famous front edges to a green, the ridge there. And then 6, you got the back right balcony, call it, back there. I mean, seriously, it's 8 foot wide. Sorry, 8 yards wide, but you can't, you can't fall off. It's a bit like a table. Again, that ridge is as high as a table here. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're 190 yards with a swirling wind. Good luck with that one. 7, you got to be very sensible because there's a ridge up to the middle of the green and that really falls off and you can't see it. And you think, oh, I'll go for that flag because you got a wedge, pull it a yard left the flag and you'd end up down there on the side of the green. 8 is a skinny little ridge down the right, which is mega fast, very steep. 9, we all know, hopefully famous. Got 3 tiers to it. Angled as well. They angle away from you. So you got a ball on you. You got a ball that's this far below your feet and on the downslope.
Is there an easy shot on this golf course?
No, that's right. You talked about the undulations as well, and that's what people don't appreciate. Now, 2's like this, 3's little steep, punchy, but with a big divot will come flying up. Be careful there. 7's that a ball away from you again. 9 even worse, ball below your feet and forward, and the green's up there. So you've got to really stretch and scoop that thing. 10, as you know, is hockey lie, really whipping round. 11 was flattish back in the day. 12, and you don't appreciate the slope of 13. 13 is like this. So 14's awkward, goes the wrong way. The hole's going right to left and the slope's going left to right. That's hard work. If you're a fader, but send it down next to the trees and you can clip the trees and come down and you lose 50 yards or more. 15's okay. Oh, well, 15's fun because you come down and it swirls again, the breeze again. What's going to happen with the breeze? 16 cannot go right. Impossible to get up and down if you miss the green right. 17 can't go long. And then 18, don't clatter it in the trees. 18's getting narrow over the years. It's coming in a little bit. It's a bit of a...
The further back they take you, it looks like those trees are just like over the tee box.
Oh, yeah. Now they've gone way back. Yeah. I mean, no wonder Jordan Spieth necks one into the trees all the time. It's scary, because if you just peel it off to the right, huge big magnolia on the corner. So yeah, you gotta thread it. It's good.
Yeah, it really is one of those facilities and course you have to see to
appreciate.
Yeah, it's crazy how different it is, in person compared to what you see on TV.
This was terrific.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Nick, for taking the time to do this. Again, always super, super fascinating for us to hear your thoughts. We appreciate you taking the time. And
I could listen to you tell stories
all day
long and never complain once.
That's a rapid guided tour to Augusta National.
That was terrific.
Enjoy.
Thanks so much, Sir Nick.
All right, take care.
Eric, I could listen to him talk all day long. I mean...
Yeah, there's so much more to get into, and obviously in future episodes we'll talk. We talked about 89 and 90 Masters. We'll do the 96. Fascinating to listen to.
I love the breakdowns of when he's playing, but I really love the behind the scenes, the experience, the thing you just don't get in the interview or in the YouTube video afterwards, or even watching the tournament. Right? You can only guess.
And there's how many humans on planet Earth have his sort of experience with these terms and stuff. It's such a cool insight.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. We're loving it. Obviously leave us feedback like always, and we'll be back with some more episodes here soon.
Yeah. Send your comments in. I'm going to check them out. We'll try to address them on future episodes.
Cool.
Thanks again. We'll see you on the next show.